Tune in for a tale, words that set sail.
Digital Splendor, Literature Illuminated.
You know, when Jane Eyre hit the shelves back in 1847, it wasn't just another book. It was an absolute bombshell. Seriously, this wasn't just a great story. It was a completely radical act. Because for the very first time, readers got to hear the raw, unfiltered, and fiercely smart inner voice of a woman who flat out refused to be quiet. And it all boils down to one powerful idea.
And there it is. This one line is the beating heart of the whole novel. It's Jane's personal declaration of independence. And let me tell you, for its time, this was just shocking. This sentiment is what makes her one of literature's all-time greatest rebels. It's not just a quote, it's basically the mission statement for the entire book.
So that's really the big question we're diving into today. Who was this woman? We're going to follow the journey of this supposedly poor, obscure, small, and plain governess who had the audacity to claim a will of her own, and in doing so, changed everything we thought a novel could be. All right, so here's our roadmap. We'll kick things off by looking at what made her voice so revolutionary. Then we'll see how that voice was born in the terrifying Red Room. We're going to uncover the dark, Gothic secrets of Thornfield Hall, break down the 2 marriage proposals that test her to her core, and finally, we'll ask why, after all this time, we're still so obsessed with Jane's story.
Okay, so the most groundbreaking thing about Jane Eyre, it's not actually the plot, it's the perspective. It's the sheer power of the first-person I. Jane doesn't just narrate her life story. No, she grabs you, the reader, by the shoulders, looks you right in the eye, and tells you everything. Every secret thought, every unfair moment, every little spark of rebellion.
And you have to understand why this was such a game changer. It gave people for the first time this incredibly intimate peek into the inner life of a woman. Her anger, her passions, her intellectual and moral debates with herself, it was all right there on the page. This wasn't a story about a woman, it was a story from inside a woman's mind. And in an era that didn't really care about what women thought, that was a truly radical idea. So where did this incredible, powerful will even come from? Well, it was forged in fire. Specifically, the fire of her cruel childhood at Gateshead Hall, starting with her very first, and maybe most famous, ordeal, the Red Room.
So, after 10-year-old Jane finally fights back against her horrible cousin, she gets locked in the Red Room. But this is not just a timeout. Oh no. For Jane, this is a place of deep psychological terror, and she's afraid, supernatural horror.
Just listen to how Bronte describes this place. It's a masterpiece of Gothic dread. She uses words like tabernacle and shrouded. It doesn't sound like a bedroom, it sounds like a tomb. Everything is heavy, silent, and blood red. The room itself is designed to crush her. And then comes the secret ingredient that makes it truly terrifying. This is the very room where her kind Uncle Reed died. So for a terrified little girl, that means his ghost could be in there with her, just waiting to appear. But here's where the horror gets really interesting. It turns psychological. Jane catches a glimpse of herself in a mirror and becomes terrified of her own reflection. The line between what's real and what's supernatural just completely evaporates. She's not just haunted by a ghost, she's haunted by her own self, this strange little figure she can't even recognize. And here's the thing, that terror doesn't break her. It ignites something in her. For the very first time, Jane unleashes all this pent-up rage and speaks the unvarnished truth to her abuser, Mrs. Reed. And while it's scary, she says it gives her this feeling of unhoped-for liberty. It's her first taste of freedom.
Now, Jane's suffering doesn't end there. She's sent to Lowood Institution, a grim charity school. And what makes this part of the book so powerful is that Charlotte Brontë based it on her own horrific experiences at boarding school. The cold, the hunger, the cruel punishments, that was all real, pulled directly from her own life, which gives the story this incredible, harsh authenticity.
So Jane survives and eventually becomes a governess at a mysterious mansion called Thornfield Hall. And at first, it feels like a dream come true. There's even a potential romance with her brooding boss, Mr. Rochester. But of course, Thornfield has secrets. Deep, dark, Gothic secrets full of mystery and horror. And the creepiness just ramps up bit by bit. First, there's this bizarre, chilling laugh that echoes through the house. Then, someone tries to set Rochester's bed on fire while he's sleeping in it. Later, a guest is found stabbed and bleeding. And then, on the night before her own wedding, Jane wakes up to find a horrifying figure in her room, ripping her wedding veil in two. Yeah, Thornfield is no sanctuary. It's a house of horrors. The whole mystery finally blows up at the wedding altar. The source of all the terror? It's not a ghost. It's a person. Bertha Mason, Rochester's wife, who he has kept locked in the attic for years. Her reveal is one of the most famous and debated scenes in all of literature. The ultimate Gothic secret, a woman driven to madness, hidden away from the world. So after finding out Rochester is already married, Jane does the only thing she can. She runs away. And it's out here, all alone, that her independent will faces its greatest test yet, in the form of two very, very different marriage proposals. Okay, so the choice she has to make is just stark. On one side, you've got Rochester, who begs her to live with him as his mistress. It's an offer of real, passionate love, but it would mean violating every moral principle she holds dear. On the other side is her cousin, St. John Rivers. He offers her marriage, sure, but it's a cold, loveless partnership. He doesn't love her, he just thinks she'd be a useful missionary's wife. And even though she loves Rochester with all her heart, she turns him down. Why? Because becoming his mistress would mean sacrificing her self-respect, her integrity. And for Jane, that's the one thing she truly owns. It's an absolutely gut-wrenching decision, but it is the ultimate proof of her independent will. But she's not done. She also turned St. John down flat, rejecting a life of cold, hard duty without any passion. She refuses to be a martyr in a loveless marriage, even if it's for a good cause. What she's demanding is to be a whole person, to have both her heart and her mind valued. It's her final declaration of independence, both morally and emotionally. So after everything she's been through, why are we still reading this book? Why do we keep coming back to Jane's story? What is it about her that has lasted for so long? Well, her journey is just so compelling. You see her go from total oppression to sheer survival, from discovering passionate love to finding true independence. And her eventual reunion with Rochester, that's not some fairy tale ending where the prince saves her. Nope, it's a partnership between equals that she earns on her own terms. And this is absolutely crucial. When she finally goes back to Rochester, who by this point is blind and broken, she returns as an independently wealthy woman thanks to an inheritance. The whole power dynamic is shifted. She's not his poor little governess anymore. She is his equal, financially and spiritually. And if you want proof of her lasting power, just look at this number. For 179 years, Jane Eyre has never gone out of print. That's almost 2 centuries. Its influence is just staggering, and it speaks to how much we still connect with that fight for your own sense of self. So we'll leave you with this to chew on. Is Jane Eyre the first truly modern heroine? Think about it. A woman who put her own integrity above what society expected, who demanded both love and self-respect, and who insisted no matter what on being the one to write her own story. It's a pretty powerful thought.